I was with the troupe for 28 years. I'm retired now. I'm not just retired. I'm extremely retired. And I get to wrangle this thing now. By wrangling it means I've some ground rules. We prefer you wear a mask. If you can, it'd be great. And also, those of you who will be stepping up here to the microphone, keep it short, keep it sweet. Don't make me use this. All right. Looking back, let me set the stage here a little bit. Looking back, 1955, grade 5, Mrs. Savage was my teacher. Chambers Elementary School in East Cleveland, Ohio. And the project for next week, kids, boys and girls, is you're going to go find a poem. You're going to find a poem, and you're going to stand in front of the class next week, and you're going to recite the poem in front of people. So that was the first performance for me. And so go find a poem. So I went, and I was a smart ass. Well, trying to be a smart ass, so I went and found the shortest poem I could find. And I took it up to her for her approval, and she said, "No, you gotta get a full poem." So I wound up doing John Masefield or something like that. I must go down to the sea again, the lonely sea and sky. And all I need is a tall ship and a star to steer by, which set my course for the Navy later on. But the poem that I tried to get away with, was, "Death is very beautiful when it comes without delay, but when you have to sit and wait and watch for it, it takes the charm away." Now here's to Bruce, who called his own exit. All right, a monumental feat, a monumental opportunity. You know, if we all get opportunities to call our exit, you know, hope we do. And he did it, and I got to be there for a little while before he passed on. And it was a great crowd. Some people may tell some stories about that. So we're going to talk about that, stories of Bruce, sing some of his songs, and starting out with, what's her name?
Oh, good.
Sharon Lockwood. Sharon Lockwood, everybody.
Yay.
Thank you. I'm actually not speaking for myself right now. I'm going to read something that an dear old friend and bandmate of Bruce's, Phil Greenberg, wrote in honor of Bruce. Bruce Barthol passed away peacefully at his home in Sebastopol on February 20th, 2023, surrounded by loved ones and close friends. He was 75 years old. He is survived by his partner, J.K. Selznick, and two nieces, Sarah and Nora Barthol.
Laura, L.
Sorry. I was very sorry. Hi, you guys. Haven't seen you since you were, oh my God. I think it was at Disneyland, too. Bruce was a highly regarded electric bass player and songwriter-composer who for 30-some-odd years was the musical mainstay of the San Francisco Mime Troupe. Bruce was soulful, funny, intelligent, highly creative, and extremely well-read. He was a pillar of progressive thought and action, and a voracious reader of progressive political thought and history. He never gave up on the hope that people united could make things better. He had a wide circle of friends that included musicians, theater people, progressives, and more. Bruce epitomized the 60s leftists with a tough, hip, scathing exterior, fronting a very generous and collaborative spirit. Bruce was an unapologetic revolutionary, spirited, argumentative, brilliant. He could write a song about anything and create tunes that roused any audience to action. He used his sardonic wit, his cutting sarcasm, his knowledge of history, and his broad understanding of everything political to write lyrics that outraged, broke hearts, and inspired. Barthol was born in Berkeley in 1947. His father, Richard, was a professor of psychology at UCLA, and his mother was a social worker. He had one sibling, Clark Barthol, who died some years ago. In 1965-66, Bruce was living in South Berkeley with roommates Barry Melton and Joe McDonald. He participated in the free speech movement sit-ins and was sorely disappointed when FSM leaders decreed that minors should leave the sit-in sites and avoid being arrested. He counted himself as one of the youngest people involved in the FSM actions. I think Bruce told me once he was 14 when he was at UC Berkeley. By the mid-1960s, Bruce had already learned some guitar and had also learned electric bass. He and his friends spent a lot of time at the Jabberwock, the terrific Berkeley coffee house located on the southeast corner of Russell Street and Telegraph Avenue. There he heard many old blues greats, folk musicians, singers, songwriters, and budding rock players. Bruce and his cohorts came of age musically at The Walk. When his roommate Barry Melton became the guitar player for his and Country Joe McDonald's newly formed rock band Country Joe and the Fish, Bruce was recruited to play electric bass. Barry said that in the earliest days when he and Bruce were not yet 18 years of age, on some gigs the Fish played with Bruce and Barry separated on stage in a chicken wire enclosure so that no liquor laws would be violated. Bruce played with the Fish as the band enjoyed greater success, including a recording contract with Vanguard Records and an album produced by the legendary Samuel Charters. The group's many dates included an appearance at the seminal 1967 Monterey Pop Festival. In late 1968, Bruce left the Fish and spent time in England with a musician friend from Berkeley, Gary Peterson. In early 1969, they contacted another Jabberwock friend, Phil Greenberg, to come over and form a band. The trio found an English drummer and was taken on by Black Hill Enterprises, a well-known management booking agency run by Peter Jenner and Andrew King. The band was originally named Fat Harry, but shortly thereafter, Jimi Hendrix's former bass player, Noel Redding, started a new band named Fat Mattress, which caused some confusion in the music press. After many weeks of fruitless efforts to think of a new name for the group, Bruce brilliantly came up with a solution. The band was renamed formerly Fat Harry. For several years, the group played widely around the UK and Europe, including several appearances on BBC music programs, 2 Hyde Park free concert appearances, the Bath Festival, Glastonbury Festival, and the first rock festival in France, which was held at the old Le Bourget Airdrome. Eventually, formerly Fat Harry was signed by the EMI record label and recorded an album at the famed Abbey Road recording studios. However, EMI failed to promote it, and the record had disappointing sales in the US, and the band broke up in 1972. Bruce returned to the SF Bay Area and became involved with the band Energy Crisis with his friend Phil Marsh, who is with us today, and the East Bay Sharks with Arthur Holden, also a longtime troupe member. He was also in the East Bay Sharks. The East Bay Sharks was, they had a cult following. I mean, Sproul Plaza was full. They had an amazing trip. For how many years, I can't remember, but Bruce was with them for at least probably 3 years. In 1973, Bruce also began to work with the San Francisco Mime Troupe, writing music and lyrics for Mime Troupe shows. Bruce became the central music figure in the Mime Troupe, remaining with the group for 33 years before retiring in 2009. During this period, other people will say more about his time with the Mime Troupe, and that will get filled in. In the early 90s, Bruce took a sabbatical from the Mime Troupe to go to NYU and earn a master's degree in musical theater. In 2008, Bruce released a CD of his songs entitled The Decline and Fall of Everything. In his later years, he also played with the band The Former Members, which included friends David Bennett Cohen from Country Joe and the Fish, Roy Blumenfeld from the Blues Project, and Greg Douglas. He was with the Steve Miller Band. The group released 1 CD in 2013. Bruce also helped organize an annual Bay Area tribute and fundraiser for elderly veterans of the Lincoln Brigade who had fought in the Spanish Civil War, which Bruce knew a hell of a lot about. In later life, after leaving the Mime Troupe, Bruce annually spent a summer month touring UK small clubs and pubs as a solo act, just him and his guitar. He enjoyed these times greatly and spoke warmly of them. Bruce was a talented, feisty, committed, humorous character who was a good friend to many. He will be long and sorely missed.
From Hotel Universe, we have a song coming up here. What year was Hotel Universe, please?
76.
76. Thank you. 77. Okay, 77. From 1977. Get the singers up here, would you?
They don't need old makeup anymore.
Thanks for I started doing that when we first started rehearsing. That was it.
¿Qué pasó?
We were waiting for Wilma.
Very well ordered.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Come on, Gladys, we gotta go. Come on.
I won't move.
You won't move.
I won't move.
She won't move.
I won't move. Been moved before. I won't move no more. They'll have to carry me out the door. I won't move. My city was people, not concrete. Parking lots and cars weren't the only thing on our street. Lived here so long, have friends all around. Then the man comes and he tears it down, and he left me with nothing but a memory of how my city used to be. He built nothing that nobody needs. Can you give me the reason? Can you give me the rhyme? Got nowhere to go, got nowhere to hide. I won't move this time.
She won't move. She won't move. I mean, she is 2 sandwiches short of a picnic. You know what I mean? She won't move. She won't. That's the most ridiculous. Ridiculous. I won't move.
¿Cómo que I won't move? Estas viejas están bien locas. The landlord's gonna come. They're gonna get in a big fight. I won't move. We won't move. We won't move. We won't move. Been moved before. We won't move no more. won't move. We won't move. We won't
Is this in your way?
There she comes.
¿Qué pasó?
Hey, baby. Okay, a song from Steel Town.
I worked in rich folks' houses in their fields too. When they paid you what they want, there was nothing you could do. And to smile when they cussed and say yes sir, thank you ma'am. Kept down and divided. Yeah, kept down and divided. To live we had to bear a life of fear and hunger with only one escape. Alone they got us on our knees and then we got to crawl. Now that we're together, we're standing 10 feet tall. Standing with the union.
Standing with the union.
I'm standing with the union.
Standing with the union.
I'm standing with the union 'cause the union stood by me. Stood by me. Now I'm standing where before I could not stand at all. Now I'm standing with the union and I'm standing up 10 feet tall. Listen, first day on the job, I walked through that gate. Nobody knew me, everybody turned away. Men on my section say, hey, there ain't no way. Get that nigga out of here, she ain't working here today. No. Supervisor tell me, Rose, you better go on home. I drove 3,000 miles, now they're telling me to go. Rudy from the union said one thing he knows. Rose is working here, the rest of y'all can go. That's why I'm standing with the union.
Standing with the union.
Yes, I'm standing with the union.
Standing with the union.
I'm standing with the union 'cause the union stood by me.
Stood by me.
Now I'm standing.
With the union.
Yes, I'm standing.
With the union.
And before I could not stand at all.
With the union.
I'm standing with the union and I'm standing up 10 feet tall.
10 feet tall.
Now I'm standing, yes I'm standing. Oh, they would not let me stand at all. I'm standing with the union and I'm standing up 10 feet
With the union. With the union. With the union.
Hey, Andrea Snow here.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hi.
Come on up, Andrea. You got some words, don't you?
No.
You don't? It says so right here. I.
Well, you know what? I've got words. I have a correction to make here on the
This one hot. Okay. I wasn't planning to say anything, but I will tell you about the first time I met Bruce. It had to be after the free speech movement arrests. And I did a little arithmetic. Bruce was 17 at this moment. He was 16, I guess, until his birthday the November before. This must have been in January in 65. I knew Phil Marsh. I just got to know Phil because my very, very good friend started going with him. And I was at Berkeley, and I was, crossing the campus here, and there was a grassy knoll, and there was Phil with this interesting person who was young looking, had hair longer than any man I knew, had an earring in one ear, which no other man I knew had. Looked really young though. And he had braces. He still had braces. So anyway, Bruce was a man of contradictions in his own way. And we all love him and miss him. Hey, Keiko, are you going to tell this story about Canada?
You tell it.
Bruce, speaking of, the unexpected things, there was a story that he told, and he loved it, and I think it's a great, great story. And it's when he was on tour in Canada near Calgary, and he and Keiko and Greg Tate, I don't know if you guys remember Greg, he was really a big guy and black. So there were these three people walking down a road near Calgary. Now, this is in Alberta. Alberta has some right-wing stuff going on and cowboy stuff going on. And here's this gorgeous Asian woman, this really huge black guy, and this hippie. This hair and beard and what. And the three of them were walking along, and some white guys, in a convertible came speeding along, and then screeched on the brakes, backed up. And it was a threatening moment, I guess. I think everybody felt a little threatened. And they said, "Welcome to Canada!"
Thank you, Andrea Snow. Okay, Phil, it says here Phil Marsh. Am I right this time?
That's good. Hi, everybody. Hi, Bruce. Yeah. Honored to be here. Yeah, Bruce and I go back a long time. I remember he was 16 just before that 17 thing with the braces. That's when I met him. And briefly, we were at the Free Speech Movement sit-in, and we met, and we were friends immediately, just about. And we climbed out the window at the sit-in, and we went to my pad and we smoked a couple of doobs and ate a box of raw cake mix together. Played a bunch of Carter family songs, and returned back to the sit-in, climbed in the window, and I got busted, and he couldn't because of being young. Anyway, have a couple of tunes. We are traveling, we are traveling, we are traveling through the night. People get ready for that train that's come, traveling to the light. We are traveling, we are traveling on our way back home. Bruce was a friend, you know. It's time for him to roam. So sorry that he had to go. I can't see him like a photograph. Feel him with my soul. I can hear him sticking it to the man on the cosmic radio. You can get in a station, you can hear live music on the cosmic radio. Hear a beautiful song when it's time to move along, further on down the road. We are traveling through the universe, playing every song we've ever played. I'm gonna miss my friend. I can't believe this is the end, but we don't have to be afraid. We're little drops of energy, companions in our destiny, whizzing through the earth, through the sky. Blasting here and skittering there, sometimes it don't seem fair. Really don't understand why. We're traveling. We're traveling. Traveling to the light. As we grieve, I know he'd want us to believe it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Thanks very much. Andrea reminded me that I wrote this tune for the Mime Troupe back for the what was it?
Great air robbery.
The Great Air Robbery back in the day. You remember that one, Joe? So this is a song that I wrote, and we used to play this in various groups, the Energy Crisis and other bands that Bruce and I were in together. We played a lot of situations, a lot of weird gigs, and etc. And this was and at times he contributed to the lyrics and the evolution of the lyrics, and this is the latest rendition of it that I've come up with. But see if I can pull it off. The Times Are Tough Blues, it's called. Times are tough. Times are tough. confusion under the sun. World of illusion, what's going on? The truth ain't the truth, the facts ain't the facts. Integrity, dignity, what the hell's that? Demagogues and autocrats all over the news. The times are tough, it's the tough times blues. The times are tough blues. Dying for dollars don't make no sense. Evil's all over the government. Well, you struggle so hard trying to get by. They threaten to drive you if you ask why. The planet is dying. We're most out of time. Watch the fools worship their own bottom line. That trickle-down bullshit just doesn't fly. If their lips are moving, it's nothing but lies. Well, hooray for me, and to hell with you. The times are still tough, it's the tough times blues. The times are tough blues. Times are tough. Times are tough. Times are tough now. Times are tough. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. I missed his harmony on that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Next, we're going to have Michael Sullivan. Michael Sullivan singing from 1989 show, Seeing Double.
There's an image on the screen again. We can hear the sound of screams again. We can see the face of rage again. And the tears of mourning. And we hear the sounds of mourning. This is the year of the possibility. Take a chance, stop the downward slide. Drop the guns and take the hand that's reaching out from the other side. You can hear the clock is ticking. You can see there's not much time. There is no God in the Holy Lands, just people screaming, I want my
Joan Holden.
Oh, no.
It's Joan, you're right, it's
Joan.
Joan.
It's Joan.
Thank you. I had the privilege and joy of collaborating with Bruce on probably. Speaking to the microphone, is that what you're telling me? I had the privilege and joy of collaborating with Bruce on probably 24 shows here and between 1977 and 1999 and several later here and there. Now I feel like a Siamese twin who lost her other half. Bruce could express and rhyme any issue or idea or desire or large chunk of history to music you'd be humming after the first time you heard it. He could produce, after a 9 p.m. phone call, a song that perfectly expressed the moment, the character, and the meaning, and be ready to teach it to the band and singers before the next day's 2 p.m. rehearsal. I never asked which came first, the words or the music. It always seemed they arrived together. And I was amazed to learn in conversations in the past week that he didn't actually write songs before he came to the Mime Troupe. As you heard, sometimes there were songs in the shows, and most were thank you, Phil, thank you, Andrea. And most shows were underscored, the band was part of the company. But they weren't really musicals until Bruce got here. La Rochelle, France, 1977, in the farmhouse. The company's on tour in Europe for the first time. This farmhouse where they put us up, I kept hearing this bass line in the hallways coming out of Bruce's room. Dum, dum, dum. And the next day, the number was all there. You just heard it, We Won't Move. I think, new kid's talented. The Hotel Universe turned into a full-fledged musical with many revisions and more songs from Eduardo too. And we came to understand that composer-lyricist was a job we'd book with for every show, sometimes with a team. A couple of years ago, the two retired Chronicle critics, Bernie Weiner and Rob Hurwitz, told some of us the story of the troupe's Obie, how we came to get Tony, how we came to get the Regional Theater Tony Award. Regional theater means outside New York. It's voted on by the country's theater critics, and for years they've been trying, Bernie and Rob and Nancy Scott, who had recently passed, had been trying to boost us, had been urging their colleagues to give us the award. But what put it over the top, but there was a lot of resistance. And what put it over the top was 2 Midwest tours in the middle 80s, Fact Wino and Steeltown. Both with music mainly by Bruce. And we were on a roll in the 80s. The company was on a roll, and our team was on a roll. Bruce and I were on a roll. We never sat down and wrote together. That didn't happen. We thought together. Sometimes long distance. Steeltown went back and forth from San Francisco to Berlin on those flimsy air letters that were pale blue. It's like we were joined at the brain maybe because we were both born in Berkeley to left-leaning parents, and both moms were social workers. And we shared a somewhat dry sense of humor. Collaboration gives you a special high, and it takes a special kind of generosity. You have to be which Bruce had in abundance. You have to be wide open to other people's ideas and not hold on tight to your own. His ideas flowed like a fountain. With money, he could occasionally be a tightwad, but he was very generous about money. I came to rely on his gifts and understanding and knowledge as automatically as I would hand him something to put on a high shelf. The other night, I almost picked up the phone to ask him what happened if the banks failed. The one time he relied on me, I let him down. He wanted to tell the story of the Spanish Civil War, and I could not make it fit on the stage. To the survivors of that show, thank you. You all gave it your best shot, really. We relived the classic joke about that war. They won, but we had the best songs. And we did, that's for sure. They're Bruce's most heartfelt. And now they're living the second life they deserve at events for the veterans of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade and also in Bruce's solo gigs. I believe that Bruce remains a bard, really. His songs tell the history, the hopes and fears of everything about a community. He praises his country, its glories and heroes, and exposes and eviscerates its enemies. And what his country is the international, not anti-authoritarian left. Wherever you go in the world, you meet your comrades. And he was one all over the world. The man, he wrote two kinds of songs. They either trashed the bad guys, the enemies, the pigs, the capitalists, the fascists, or they praised the people, like Standing with the Union. The same guy who wrote a song you're going to hear, Badajoz, wrote this one. Ed, I'd love it you do. Don't be looking at me that way. I'm doing what's right for the USA. You know, if it weren't for guys like me, we'd be adrift in a bright red sea. Benigno Aquino got out of hand, and Allende in Chile with his Marxist band. So Kennecott Copper and United Fruit said, send those commies down the chute. We killed Lumumba, we killed Che. Tried to kill Fidel, but he got away. We even gave Gaddafi a whirl and killed his little baby girl. Third world countries gotta learn about the way the world really turns. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. The whole damn world belongs to us. He could make you hate that guy so hard. When Spain closed, we had to open that show. That's from the Mozambique caper, the show we had to open in record time after Spain crashed. I faltered before the end, and I begged him to write the closing speech. I'm setting the record straight because I got the credit. Script by, songs and music by. Bruce didn't have one big reason at that moment to do me a favor, but he never got petty or personal. I never knew him to be petty. He never approached me for Spain or any of several messes I got us into. And he wrote this speech that I think it should be taught in high schools. about debt. Apartheid, a system that condemns the many to misery to guarantee the comforts of a few. There's apartheid between white and black in South Africa, and apartheid between the advanced countries and the developing ones. We produce only commodities for their comfort. Our necessities we must buy from them. We buy and we sell at their prices. The peasant of the Ivory Coast who grows cacao but has never tasted chocolate must feed his family for a year on what a lady from New York will spend on cakes. The largest part of many African countries' export income goes to pay the debt, just the debt, on just the interest on debt to first world banks. When we challenge this, when we nationalize our industries, when we make our agriculture feed our people, when we teach our peasants to read, the United States makes wars against us, driving us always deeper into debt, postponing the day when we can raise our peoples from slavery. Bruce always knew where he stood. He had always known since childhood. And sometimes he had to stand all by himself. If you're one of us who worried about his health in recent years, you will not be amazed to learn that he was a single Mime Troupe collective member who opposed taking a grant from the health department to create an anti-smoking play in Torrey High School. It meant $80,000 in very lean times, but he took a principled stand against any anti-drug message. You are backing and you're signing up with Nancy Reagan and just say no. What's next? Tell kids no sex till marriage? He only relented when we convinced him it was actually an anti-tobacco company show. The CEO who says, where is it? We're selling death, and they're buying. I don't think that Bruce ever went through a Red Book phase. Native skepticism would have forbidden it. But he did serve the people. About the child who always knew where he stood. When he was small, the family lived a few different places. I assume his dad was looking for a permanent job. They lived in Franco's Spain, which made the impression you know about. Also in Pennsylvania, which is how he knew all the battles of our Civil War. He asked for, and he got, a kid-sized Union Army uniform with a sword. That was his prized possession. Can you see him, 8 or 9 years old, all in blue, charging up the block, singing the battle hymn of the Republic, to cut the heads off of slave owners and die to make men free? That's it.
Joan.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, and now, yeah, Velina? Yeah. Sorry for the juggle, but improvise.
No worries.
we fought hand to hand till the last of our comrades were caught in the churchyard, and there they held out to the very last man. In the street by the market, they searched all the houses, they dragged out the men, and they killed them with knives. And their fine Spanish captain, he gave them permission to loot the men's houses and to use the men's wives. And they searched through the city for young ones and workers, searched us for weapons and trade union cards, and they'd rip off our blouses to look at the shoulder for the bruise that is made when a rifle kicks hard. And their burdens down to the plaza they tore off, mounted machine guns high up in the stands, and the wars and the legion shot hundreds and hundreds till the blood could no longer soak into the sand. And the blood from the bodies, more than 2,000, made large crimson puddles in the blood-soaked red sand. We saw the dust cloud grow large in the distance. We shut the strong gates and we took to the walls.
Yeah.
Lowell Bergman now, give a little, some words. Lowell.
Well, I don't come from the performance side of and performing with Bruce. I come from the other side who met Bruce 50 years ago, almost to the day, when he was trying to become part of our house in Berkeley, which had Phil Marsh and all kinds of other people that he was playing with there, and breaking himself into this place. I discovered that Bruce, more than almost anyone else around, understood when I was talking about myself, was involved in similar kinds of ideological questions and so on. And we bonded. He became furniture in our family for 50 years. Seriously. Some of the children are here who grew up with him, and they're now in AARP. And Bruce always showed up when anything was needed, when anyone needed help, and for sure whenever we were celebrating any event.
For sure.
And because I don't want to take too much of your time from this wonderful performance, but I wanted to tell you one story about Bruce doing a performance that I witnessed that you haven't. When we introduced Bruce to a capitalist. The occasion was 20 years ago, a couple here in San Francisco who were billionaires, but had given tens of millions of dollars to Human Rights Watch, to the ACLU, to the Center for American Progress, for all kinds of organizations, including UCSF. And they invited my wife and I to celebrate their 50th anniversary at a small dinner party, early dinner party. And I went to Bruce and I said, Bruce, I want to introduce you to some billionaires. And he smiled. Yeah, but they're not regular billionaires. they're billionaires who've given money to all of these progressive things here in the Bay Area and around the country. They hate George W. Bush. They despise him. What if you could compose a song for them to celebrate their 50th anniversary? How much are they worth? Now, 5 to 10 billion. So let me think about it. The next morning he called me up and he said, I've got it. I'll do a singing telegram. Where is the event? And I'll show up. It was in Marin County, a swanky neighborhood. So we're gathered for the event and the doorbell rings. And I don't know if you know the Sandlers, but there was Herb and Marion Sandler, and Herb Sandler, tall, thin guy, got up and walked to the door, opened the door, and there was a man dressed like a messenger, with a messenger's hat on, and a long coat, and a pouch over his arm, and he'd say, I'm from Western Union, and I have a telegram for the Sandler family. Herb said, and from whom? From the White House. And the telegram to Herb and Marion Sandler from the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. You are traitors to your class, it began. And Bruce paused, took the guitar off his back, and started to sing, which I can't do, a song from the White House saying, why are you giving money to the wrong class? Why have you deserted all of us who have the resources in the world and are protecting them, and yours as well? And he went on, and we are inviting you to the White House to show your loyalty to America. And Bruce ended with a flourish, stepped up, and said, do you want to send a telegram back? Herb invited him in to sit down for lunch or dinner. It was mid-afternoon. Bruce first came over to me and said, thanks for the free meal, Lowell. By the way, he had an audio cassette. He gave it to Herb. I think I have one somewhere, and I'll produce it if there's another event. Herb then had a company-wide meeting that week, all across America, 20,000 employees, and played the song for his employees.
Okay. Lincoln Brigade Speaker Richard Bermack.
As you just heard, Bruce had quite a sense of humor. He was probably one of the funniest and charming people, although he had a certain other side too. But he could always rise to the occasion. And I'm here also to represent the veterans of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade organization, which is, now that all the vets are dead, called the Abraham Lincoln Brigade Archives. As you guys know, besides the Mime Troupe family, that's a sort of second family where the veterans of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade Archives. Bruce became sort of the bard of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, traveling around, as you mentioned. It began with, as Joan mentioned, a Mime Troupe performance. And then in around 1971, he started performing at Abraham Lincoln Brigade events. They used to have annual events every year, both in New York and in San Francisco, the Bay Area, which continue on to this day. And so Bruce started singing at them as well as other people. And then around 1995, he got together with Peter Glazer, and they decided they would produce a show of all the songs telling the story of the veterans of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade with the songs, and they do other performances, and they asked me to help with the photos so they could project photos. in the background. And for the next about two and a half decades, he sang or performed in San Francisco area and then also New York at these shows. And they were really just a big part of the show, and they were just a wonderful thing. He became friends with most of the Lincoln Brigade vets while they were still alive. And we'll always miss him. The last show, they stopped during COVID, and then this last year, realizing that, I wasn't sure how many more shows Bruce was going to do. We actually filmed the show, and you can now see it on YouTube. It's called The Eyes of the World Are on Madrid, and it tells the story of the Spanish Civil War and the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. And I just want to say that for a lot of people that don't realize this, we celebrate the veterans of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, not so much as guys who went and fought in a war, but people who are forever activists, because when they came back from the war, they continued the struggle for social justice and all the other issues. And they were originally called the premature anti-fascists, and then they became the senior anti-fascists, and continue the struggle. And so that's what we recognize. And the Spanish Civil War was also about health care. It was about all the issues we're fighting for today, and the fact that 40,000 people from all over the world of every race and nationality and even sexual orientation came together to Spain, defied their governments, to fight. And about a third of them never came back. Most of them were wounded. In a great display of international solidarity, they weren't able to stop World War II. But at least they stood up where the other governments and democracies weren't. So I would just like to say, Bruce Barthol, Presente! Presente! No pasaran! Viva la Republic! And Bruce will miss you.
Hi, I'm Craig Knudsen. I'm going to sing one of the songs from Spain 36. Taste of ashes, wounded heart, we leave our best in this bloodied earth. The enemy remains the same. The war goes on, just the front has changed. Someday this war will be but a memory in time, and the wounds will heal in this shattered land, and our country will one day be free. Defeat will be but memory, our advances, our legacy. One day the world will live in peace, and what might have been will one day be. Someday this war will be but a memory in time, and the wounds will heal in this shattered land, and our country will one day be free. Defeat will be but memory, their example, our legacy. One day the world will be in peace, and what might have been will one day be. One day this war will be but a memory in time, and the wounds will heal in this shattered land, and our country will one day be free.
got some time here. If you have a story, if you have a short story, you have a short addition to the microphone here. Anybody? Anybody like to say something? Please. Keiko.
So, yeah, as everyone has already shared, Bruce had an amazing ability to, I don't know, channel like the song that needs to be from the heart that needs to be at that time. And he wrote this very short song called Kazuko's Haiku for me, for offshore. And I was like, how can this guy, this white guy, like write this thing that's so perfect for a questioning, confused Japanese girl having a hard time with her dad. So, Kazuko's Haiku. Dutiful daughter, tears of the rice farmers fall. The river runs home. The strong person stands. Rock resists the raging tide. To bend is to drown. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else got a couple of words before we move on to? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Appel.
Probably most of you have already seen this, but Michael Sullivan did an incredible tribute to Bruce. That's on American Theater. I just thought it was very important that I mentioned that because it's spectacular. I mean, it really kind of sums up Bruce's life. He's got song lyrics in it. Incredible job, Michael. Really moving. I've forwarded it to a whole bunch of people. On a lighter note, though, we got to have a little humor when we honor somebody like Bruce. And one of the things we know about Bruce is when we would be on tour with Bruce, you never had to really worry about your food in terms of whether there'd be anything wrong with it. Because when you go out to dinner with Bruce, he would make sure he would offer to taste your food before you did. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. I'll leave it at that, but that's my story.
You used to do the shark, right?
Right, the shark. That's right. Thank you. I couldn't know what you were doing. She's doing this back there. The rest of the mime troupe would be around the table at dinner on tour somewhere, and Bruce would sit down, and people would go dun 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 dun. You know he was gonna go. Let me make sure that's okay for you. So, anyway, sorry. Fork. Somebody once got stabbed with the fork. He got stabbed.
My memory is not so good, but tell me if some of you people remember, well, first of all, Bruce was a super hard worker. That's something that we didn't talk about. Like, he would work himself to death. He'd show up, he'd be exhausted for weeks. He just, had to get stuff right. So sometimes the rehearsal would deteriorate into talking, like, people would be hanging out, and one of his go-to lines, at least from my memory, and you guys can help me out, he would say, "Enough partying, enough partying." And I thought it was so ironic that it came from this guy who was probably the most likely person in the room to be drunk or stoned. That's all I got.
If you don't get up here, then you have to hear me sing. Okay. All right, shall we? Let's do it.
Yeah! All right. Go get him, man.
Here's this one.
So this next song is one of the greatest songs ever written. Far done.
Members of the ARP.
You ready?
Okay,
Mark?
Hey everybody, nice to see you. Welcome to Dick's Target Bar. I'm Mark Anthony, and these are the Nihilists. Wanna introduce one of the band's favorite, the saxophone player. He's only been playing saxophone for 2 weeks. Thank you, man. Nice try. Sit down. And on a work release program from county jail, on 82.2. What's your name again? Shocking Con. These fearful times to make belted slaves who seek their freedom in their chains. Reagan's election was no surprise. You voted for Nixon twice. Why? Because you're stupid. Blame it on the rich folks. Blame it on the Jews. Blame it on anybody not like you. You can blame it on the Reds. You can blame it on the Greens. But you never seem to blame the man who pulls the strings because you're stupid.
Stupid, 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 stupid.
TV preachers quote the Lord. Speak your plowshares into swords. Live your life the Christian way. Send them money and you'll be saved. Why? Because you're stupid.
Because you're stupid! Stupid! Stupid, 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 stupid.
Blame it on the rich folks. Blame it on the Jews. Blame it on the Reds. Blame it on the Green Daddy. Be stupid.
Stupid, 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 stupid.
All right, I want to thank everybody. Thank this band. Thank you, Craig and Alexa, for putting this shindig together. Now, eat.